Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's a darn sunny morning. It's the day. It's the eve, holiday eve, is what it is. It's Sunday morning here in Britain land, with my good friend Duncan and I. I am going off on holiday, so I've got my holiday shirt on. I've got the windows open. It is baking here, but as you can see, Duncan is the one who actually looks like he's on some distant shore. We've decided to go for the full 80s retro pop MTV look for Duncan today, and I think it's absolutely astonishing. Right, hopefully you can all hear us okay. Duncan, how are you, my friend?
I am doing great. What about you? You're just in complete let's get ready for holidays mode.
I'm in D-Mob happy mode today, mate. I've dusted down my old Hawaiian shirt, you see this? And I've got the windows open, but I can't pull the blinds back because be like a mogwai, you know. No, bright light, bright light. Can't be doing all that stuff. But yeah, mate, not a bad week. Now, as you know, I'm quite a tall chap. I'm not quite as tall as old Dr. Disrespect, but I am 6'3". So, you know, you've got to be careful, a man of my stature, with your back. So I thought I'd order myself a really nice, comfy, fully supporting chair for the taller gentleman, you know, this sort of thing. And I'm on my third company now, mate. Now, 3 fingers, just to note, just so I don't want you to see just the one. Third chair. I bought one from GT Omega. That one came, and I was really excited, and then it was broken. I had to send it back. And then I bought one from Overclockers, the old Noble Hero. We ain't talking cheap chairs here, Dunk, as you know. And I ordered that one. They said it would be here next week. And then I actually phoned them and said, look, I'm actually away on holiday. Any chance you could sort of, you know, bring it back a bit earlier? And they went, yeah, actually, it's looking more like late September now anyway. Oh. So I cancelled and got my money back. And then I bought one from... what they called Secret Labs, like supposed to be the best. Everybody's into Secret Labs, and it's like got this one in stock next day delivery. So I thought, brilliant, this is about 3 or 4 days ago, great, get that in before I go away. And I thought I better email them just to make sure, and they said, oh yeah, nah, COVID, mate, at least 5 days, 5 working days. I was like, COVID? It says next day delivery. It's your fault if you can't get your webs. Anyway, look, I'm being very negative. And as we know, that's not what we do on this show. This is our positive, chilled, relax show. And actually, we've got really good news because you have invested in one of these, mate, haven't you? One of these really pucker Elgato mics. Let's have a little listen then. Sing us a song.
Go away and...
Oh.
There's an actual mute button on the mic. So I can just... So I can go... Rock, go... Yourself.
Yeah, I knew that was coming. Thanks, pal.
So it's now working here. So
Brilliant.
Yeah, I'm happy enough.
Yeah, well, it sounds excellent, mate. It sounds excellent. You haven't got that because you know we want to show off your gorgeous Northern Irish accent to its fullest extent. Good morning, everybody in the chat room. How are you guys? Warlock, great to see you, my friend. Thanks for popping in this morning. Happy Sunday to you too. We got our good friend Lee, who I think is still up in Scotland. How are you, my friend? Great to see you. Samaron, how are you? Hey, that's like the Fonz used to say that, did he, when I was a kid? Hey. And countless, there's at least 400 people in the chat room. Dr. Disrespect's got nothing on us, mate. Let's be honest here. Right. So, without further ado, shall we see what's been going on? Wind it back a bit. Like, subscribe. Leave comments, say hello, tell your friends, all that stuff. Right, that's out of the way. Let's get on with the news. First up, and I'm going to just switch us over to the most important bit because I'm getting all flustered here. Hang on. The latest news from Stadia. Right. First up, Duncan should appear any second. There he is. He's always a little bit late. Was the fact that Borderlands 3 was free this weekend. And that was the first of what they're calling free play days, although it was more than one day, wasn't it?
Yep, it was. It's still going on till the end of play today. So it started on Thursday and ends on the end of Sunday.
Right.
Normally, you get it until Monday, but they've went a day earlier, so can't complain. free day,
Free.
free play days on Stadia are going to be awesome going forward. No downloads, just straight in and jump in. And as soon as 5 o'clock arrived on Thursday, everybody was jumping in and able to play. So this is going to be massive going forward for Stadia, and it's going to be massive for the game companies as well, so they can actually showcase the games and don't have to worry about the downloads. So yeah, this is a really big thing and a really great thing for Stadia.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. And this little clip here was when I jumped in on Friday night with my good friend Clive, and we did a little buddy up in Borderlands 3 for a couple of hours. I've played it, as you know, I've got it on, bought it on PlayStation 4 Pro when it first came out, and I played it for several hours on there. And then I bought it again on Stadia, but I couldn't get into it. I don't know why. I don't know whether it's because I'd already played tons and tons of it on the old PS4, or whether it was, I don't know what it was, mate. But I had a little play with it again. It is a great game. I mean, you know, it kind of is just an enjoyable game. The only thing I struggle with the game on is there's so much loot. You never know exactly what's the best thing to put on your weapon, you know, for your weapons and stuff. I know it all comes with experience, but you know, I'm like, mate, casual gamer, busy person, bit of a butterfly with the old patience and everything. But it was all good. Did you ever crack at it?
I've already got it, but I haven't been playing it. I've been playing a load of different games this week, so I'm not in a big rush to actually go out and play Borderlands at the moment because I've already got it. Yeah. But it's actually good to see that I was looking on my friends list and so many people are playing it. And what I love about looking at my friends list now, it's not just one game. People are playing a load of games under the sun. There was Borderlands, there was PUBG, there was Tomb Raider, there was The Crew 2, there was Assassin's Creed. There's just so many people playing so many different games. It's brilliant.
It is great. Yeah, it's become quite active, hasn't it? All of a sudden, Stadia there's quite a lot going on. And of course, they're helping with a ton of games being dropped all the time. There seems to be something at the moment and some really exciting ones coming up. So there's Clive. He hadn't, I don't think he'd played Borderlands 3 before. I know he's played Borderlands 2, but it was quite fun to listen to him as he was kind of working out stuff and what have you. So it was great. Good. I enjoyed a bit of time in there with Clive. So next up on the old news, we've got a couple of downers today, folks. I'm sorry, I'm going off on my holiday, but you know, this is a good positive story. Serious Sam coming out September the 24th. Although it is not day and date, isn't it? I thought originally it was going to be.
It is day and date.
Is it? I thought it was. Sorry.
It's just delayed. It was meant to be coming out in August.
Right.
So it's just actually being delayed. So it's still coming the same time as PC. This is one of these deals which all game companies do. It's Stadia have paid the money to get this as a semi-exclusive on Stadia. Gotcha. So yeah, it's still coming day and date. It's coming in September, along with other games which we're going to touch on shortly. And yeah, it's nothing to worry about. I think it's all just with the current situation with the working from home for everybody. It's again, we're going to see a lot of these delays going forward. There might be a couple of months, there might be a bit longer. So it's nothing to worry about.
Oh, okay, fine, that's right. For some reason, I thought it was out this week on PC, but I was obviously wrong. So that's actually a good. That's a relatively good. We've only got to wait a couple more weeks, haven't we? Yeah, it's not like we're talking months or anything. So that's all good news. So that's the September the 24th. If you're into your Series M, I bought the trilogy, which I think came. Did it come out on Pro Deal at some point?
Yeah, it was a Pro Deal, or a Pro game, and it's a really really fun game. And it's well worth checking out if you haven't. It's just over the top. Don't have to think. Just go about shooting things. Yeah. It's really really quite fun.
I know I bought it, but I've only got about halfway through the very first one. So I know I'm missing out because obviously, like all games, they improve with age and with the iterations. Nice word for a Sunday morning. So I've got to get in there and play a bit more of Serious Sam. But I could do that on my iPhone now, you know. I'll tell you all about that in a minute. You just wait and see. All right then, so Serious Sam. Then also this end of this week, Rock of Ages comes out on Friday.
Yep. another game to look forward to. It's going to be just a nice wee chill out game just to play about. It's another tower defense type game, and I think a lot of people are enjoying that, and on PC and the other platforms. So it's again, can't knock it. Free game, don't like it. You can just jump in Stadia. You can give it 5 minutes if you don't feel like you like it. You don't have to worry. You haven't downloaded it. You can just jump in and go. I'm going to be playing that definitely this week when it comes out.
100%. You know what I'm like when it comes to free, my friend. I don't care what it is. I'll have a pint of that. So yeah, that's good. That's good news. So that's coming up on this Friday, the 14th. We then have a little bit of not so great news, and that's that the Mafia trilogy has been delayed.
It's the Mafia, the Definite Edition. It's not the trilogy, it's just the Definite Edition has been delayed. Even though we haven't been given a date for it in Stadia, it's now been indefinitely delayed. But the Mafia 2 and Mafia 3 do seem that they're just around the corner because they're actually being listed by Stadia when they put out that brilliant tweet earlier in the week where it was just highlighting all the games coming to Stadia. They are 100% on the list and they are coming. So not the whole trilogy, it's just a Definite Edition. It's been delayed indefinitely, which means it should still come eventually.
Right.
I think they're just playing their cards a bit close to their chest just to see how things pan out.
So there were 3, hence trilogy. This being the third one, correct?
No, that would be the Mafia Definite Edition is the first one. It's getting completely remade. Mafia 2 is it's just like a wee upscaling sort of thing. It's a remaster, while the Mafia Definite Edition is a complete remake and just doing it completely up. I know that might sound a bit daft, but there is a slight difference between the two. With the Definite Edition, that means they're actually completely redoing everything, while the remaster is just basically upraising and making it look a bit better. Obviously, there's a lot more work involved in that, but the two different games are having 2 different ways of getting done. So yeah. Don't be worrying about this. We're going to be getting games coming, so I'm not that.
Yeah, I know, mate. I know, but you know, there's a few Italians that watch our show, and you know they were looking forward to this one, and I can't blame them really. I've played 3, which is the one set in the Deep South, isn't it? That's brilliant. I love that one. It's particularly collecting the old Playboy magazines. That was one of my favourite aspects of the game. Moving on, and then I think I've played the first one as well, but I don't think I've played the second one. So, great games. I love them. Looking forward to those. Right, what else we got? Oh, yes. So interestingly enough, big news this week. Well, kind of big news is the fact that Apple have essentially explained why we can't have Stadia on iOS, iPhones and iPads, or xCloud, or Facebook. In essence, any cloud gaming service, which they define it by the fact that if you kind of TLDR this, if they can't check the individual games in the service, they ain't letting you in. Now, this makes 0 sense because on my phone right now, doesn't matter what flavor, I can access Spotify and listen to millions of different sounds, different musics, different albums. Some of them are quite offensive, frankly, but it's up to me to water those out, decide what I listen to, and if my kids have got access to my account, what they listen to. I can fire up Netflix, and I can watch thousands of films and TV shows that, quite frankly, there's no way on this planet Apple have watched every single one of them and made that kind of a decision on what is good or bad. And I can fire up my iMac. I don't actually have one, but I could if I had, or my MacBook Pro or any other Mac-based device, and I can play Stadia, and I can play xCloud, I think, and I can certainly play GeForce Now, and I can play Facebook gaming. So, and we know that Apple aren't restricting that. So why have they suddenly decided to play nanny on iPhones and iPads when they don't stop you on other devices? Don't make no sense to me, if I'm completely frank. I think there's more to this than meets the old meat pies. What do you think, Dunk? Go on, press that mute button. You know you can do it. He's getting used to it, folks. Duncan! Come back! Well, you know, I don't care whether Duncan can hear me or not, because I don't think it makes any sense. And I do think that it has much more to do with being anti-competitive. Problem is, on legal footing, you can go and play these things elsewhere. So there's no court in the land of America who would uphold that it was anti-competitive. Frankly, if there was the only place that you could play those games and Apple prevented it, that would be anti-competitive and they would be down on them like a ton of bricks. So it largely comes down to customer pressure, us saying, right, that's it then. I ain't buying an iPhone next time around. I'm buying an Android or some other similar flavored device. And of course, commercial pressure. So they're not getting a slice of the pie, which I think this is partly what this all boils down to. Of course, they've got their own Apple Arcade set up. It's not quite the same. Google have just released their version of this. I forgot what it's called, but it's quite new. So that does a similar thing, £5 a month, etc. But there you go. Duncan, are you with us yet, my friend? No, he's completely lost it. Bless him. No idea why. Let me see if this helps at all. Can you hear me now? You can hear me now. Okay. I know what I did. It was my fault. We can't hear you though, my friend. If you want to try and say something. No. Did you mess around with your settings thinking it was your end? Yes. Sorry. I turned the mic down because I was getting some feedback and I knew nobody else would hear it. But just for my own sanity. And of course, I managed to prevent you from hearing me. It doesn't matter too much for the moment because what I wanted to do, folks, was just to say to you that, and I hinted at this week on Twitter, if you follow me at Stadia Rokks, I've actually found a workaround. It's a bit of a faff, to be fair, as most workarounds are. And obviously, what we're wanting is Apple to concede and go, yeah, you know what, bang to rights on this one, really been silly billies. So let me just show you what you can do to get Stadia and any other cloud gaming platform to work on your phone. And it all revolves around this. Now, this is a system which is, I think you guys are familiar with the term VNC, which is essentially a way to share your computer remotely. So in other words, you often see if you're working from home, for example, a lot of us are right now, and you have a VNC connection to the computers at the office. So you're working locally on your computer, but in reality you're working on your desktop miles away. You know, it's kind of Stadia works, isn't it? We're playing games on a remote server, right? This works the same way, but it uses your PC as the server. So if you imagine Stadia without using the Stadia servers for the games, it uses the games that you've got on your computer, which most of them are going to be PCs, so that's absolutely fine. But I think it does also work if you're on MacBook or iMac or whatever. So the trick is this. Because although you absolutely can, and it works really well, by the way, the latency is excellent. You've got to fiddle about with the quality, and you need to do that at home before you disappear, because otherwise, if you're away from home, it's going to be more hard for you to mess about, get the settings right. There aren't many, it's fairly straightforward. The key thing is you have this dashboard. And this is what you see on your computer, right? And this, as you can see, this is on their website, by the way. This is on my screen. But you've got a bunch of games. And what you can do is designed for gaming, but what you can do from your... Yes, Duncan. You're talking, I can't hear you. It's a sign language that we're doing. Refer to your phone. I'll refer to my phone. You got me right in the middle. My Apple explanation. Everybody's really keen on me. Right, refer to my phone. You're not on Twitter. Let me refer to a different social media. Here we are. I'm echoing. Well, you're not. No one can hear you at all, pal. Right, hang on a second, folks. The reason I'm echoing, by the way, and I'm not now, was because I was hoping that Duncan would be able to hear me at the same time. But there you go. So you won't be hearing me echo anymore. There you go. Right, so just to carry on from whence we got to, we'll deal with it in the post-ed, folks, don't worry. So this is your dashboard, and you basically have it look for your games, pulls all the little games up. And then on your remote device, your iPhone, your iPad, whatever the device is, what you do is you choose one of the settings, which is to have your remote desktop act as a game. What that does is from your device, your iPhone for example, you can select desktop and then you can use the touch controls, or you can connect an Xbox controller or an Android controller. You can connect a PS4 controller, but in my experience it didn't work that well. And they do actually say that it's kind of been designed around Xbox controllers. So if you don't have one of those, you do have touch controls on the phone, which work really well anyway, same as on Stadia. And you can put any other kind of controller on there. And you select desktop, and once you've selected desktop, you can move around it using the controls. You can select Stadia, or go to a browser and select Stadia, and fire up a game in full screen, and you can play it. Now, bearing in mind that you're bound to get a level of latency, because you've got some latency from Stadia, and then you've added a bit of latency in the app. So I wouldn't suggest that you would want to use this for extreme gaming, where you maybe multiplayer PUBG kind of thing, because you are going to be at a disadvantage. I haven't tested it out in the wild, but I have tested it and it worked fine. So I would suggest, for games like maybe, I don't know, Destiny, or stacks on stacks and that kind of stuff, where latency is not a massive issue. Destiny probably is, if you do multiplayer, then it works fine. And that's how you can do it. Now, you can also save out a game shortcut and paste it into your library of games within Rainway and go straight to the game, so you can avoid the browser and everything, and that works as well. But if you do want to make sure you've got desktop set up, because then if anything goes wrong, your browser's not gone full screen or whatever, you can just pop in and sort that out. And it works. That's the key thing. And guess what? Good news, totally free. There's zero cost to Rainway. There's no subscription. You have to sign up. All you've got to do, and it's really well done, download their apps. They've got one for everything that you can possibly imagine. And it's a really lovely interface, very simple. Just to say, just take a few minutes to get it set up, test it at your end, make sure that you've got the right settings. Goes up as high as 1080p. I did say on a video I did recently that it goes as high as 4K. That was based on something that I read in their About Us section, but it doesn't. I've not found that it can go up to 4K, and I've got a 1 gig connection and a 4K PC, so if anybody could get 4K, it would be me. But it does go up as high as 1080p, 60 frames per second, which is on a phone perfectly fine. Of course it is. So there's your solution. Give that a go. Temporarily, I do think that Apple will concede, and I think they'll concede sooner than you think. I do also think there are some technical reasons why it can't happen. I've talked about this before. My company's developed apps. Well, has always developed apps, and we've developed apps that have required the same kind of tech, and they just don't work very well on Apple at all. So I think that's got to get fixed. I think that's going to be fixed for the next round of iOS, the next round of the operating system, which was due September, has been put back a month to October. So I think this year we will see a concession, and I don't think we would necessarily have seen one if it just purely didn't work with Stadia. But I think the fact that Microsoft's involved now, they're a big gun. So let's watch this space. Facebook, funnily enough, capitulated. It took some features out of their app in order to get it on the App Store. It's now there, which is quite interesting. So yeah, it's going to be one to watch. So there you go, Rainway, RAINWAY.com, Rainway.com. If you pop, we can hear you, Duncan. I heard you a while back. You were scraping away there and scratching your neck. I'll just put this on the screen. There you go, rainway.com, totally free. Look, I've got no affiliation with them. I have no idea who they are. They've been doing this for some time, actually. They've been working on this since, I think, 2015. Started off purely as a VNC, pivoted over to a cloud gaming platform whence you use your own games. No idea what their planning to do in terms of monetization, but it is absolutely free and you don't have to put a credit card down or anything else. So you may as well use it. Have fun. Let me know how you get on, guys. Leave a comment if you can, actually, and you do go down this route, and just let me know how it works for you. That would be fantastic. There you go, a little freebie for a Sunday. Duncan, great to have you back, my friend.
What did I miss?
That's all for the news. It is all for
No,
the
there isn't. There's
Oh,
one
hang
more
on. Duncan's got some breaking news. I forgot this.
breaking news. It has now been discovered. I am just posting it right this second.
Hang on. Can I pull it up on the screen here?
Hopefully.
Here we go, folks. Breaking news on cloudywithachanceofgames.com. Go for it.
Yeah. There has been Twitter accounts discovered for, this is regional Twitter accounts discovered for India, Brazil, Australia, South Korea, and Mexico. There is also, I haven't actually got this in there, haven't got this in the article as yet. There is also been found a Instagram page for Japan as well. So there is definite movement. These accounts were actually set up in February last year, which was the same time as the Spanish account was set up. So I think this is a good indication that these countries are definitely under consideration for coming to Stadia. So
great discovery. Great discovery. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to add to the 14. So that's 19. India, of course, the one that's no massive surprise because they've got to be doing India to compete with xCloud, and purely on the basis of cloud gaming, India is almost without exception virtually a complete mobile gaming country, isn't it? I mean, it's any country where the local network, the infrastructure, as we call it, is by and large mobile, and that tends to be in the larger, what we've traditionally called third world, and I hate that term because these days a lot of these countries are zipping past the first world in terms of GDP. But in terms of countries where they're so vast and geotopically it's difficult to set up the old masts and telegraph poles and so on, they've tended to go for mobile because they can project the signal a lot further and faster. So they're massively into mobile gaming because they can wander around the streets and whack up there. That's how they work. Same in Africa. So it's no great surprise. India, one of the biggest growing countries in the BRIC. We've got Brazil, Russia, India, and China, and of course we've also got Brazil in this list. South Korea, not hugely. South Korea is a massively successful country. Again, massive adopters of technology. I think they've got one of the fastest internet connection networks in the world. Australia is an interesting one. 85% of Australians live near the coast. So it's not there, but their internet isn't brilliant, interestingly enough. It's not the fastest and it's quite expensive, but it is a growing economy, largely invested in from China. So no point setting up in Hong Kong because that's teetering on becoming more native China. But if you want to get into China, Australia right now is probably your safest and closest route into China. So, and Brazil, of course, because again, massive economy, right on the doorstep of in the Americas in terms of the United States of America. Our good friend Eddie actually did a show on I think it was Friday night, live in Portuguese, in obviously his native tongue, basically saying exactly this, that Brazil is indeed about to receive Stadia. So fantastic news. I'm really looking forward to that. Mexico, again, similarly, you're talking about the northern end of South America, so they're more affluent in terms of potential per capita. Now, what does this tell us, Duncan, in terms of my belief, which is that what they're after is the old, what their audience they're looking for is potentially more casual gamers and not so much traditional gamers?
Yeah, it's the countries again. I think we're both in agreement. We don't like using the term you mentioned before, the third world countries. We don't.
No.
It's there. We're because, as you said, these countries are just flipping flying,
Oh, no,
and
they're on a rocket ascension. Absolutely.
yeah, especially India and Brazil, I think, are the two big battlegrounds going forward, especially with Brazil's. I know that games are a lot dearer there, and there's a lot more. If you're buying physical media over there, it's extremely expensive because I think it's the taxes and all that sort of thing makes it prohibited. I can't speak. It's too early in the morning for this. And so, yeah, and India, me and you have been talking about India for quite a while now, and we have seen Google have actually started pumping the money into India to expand their cloud there, along with Microsoft, because that is going to be a key market going forward. And I'm telling you that I'm expecting India to probably be one of the next countries to actually come on board, just to get the people playing. So there we go. This was actually on Discord first thing this morning. I think they maybe got this from Discord.
Okay.
There was a guy called.
You say Discord or Reddit? Did you mean?
Discord. It was
Right.
actually on Discord
Okay.
first
Okay.
before it
on the
went
official
to
Discord
Reddit.
channel and on Reddit. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, it was on both.
Gotcha.
It was actually on there first, so I think maybe they posted it.
To be fair, these were just created February 2019. So it's interesting, isn't it? How we tend to discover things. It's, for example, just winding the clock back a little bit to the Apple info just now. All of a sudden we're quoting aspects of their contracts and their terms, but they haven't changed in quite some time. So we need, Duncan, no disrespect, we need better journalists, mate, in our community. And you need to step up to the plate, my friend. That's it. You stay muted. It's absolutely valid. Raf makes a good point. Do you think that this will happen before or after the first year anniversary, or on the day?
I believe we're going to see a big connect on the first anniversary. I think we're going to see some of the first year anniversary. Here's how far we're coming. Here's where we're going. I'm expecting that sort of thing coming, and I do believe we're going to get more countries and big announcements announced there. I realized there's so many mute buttons I've got now, and I'm muted myself. So if anybody wants to come and help me,
welcome to my world, my friend. Welcome to my world.
And if anybody wants to come and help me find these discoveries, you're more than welcome. Just give me a buzz, and I'm more than welcome to speak to you and get you on board.
Now, just to actually, fair point, because I'm going to do a bit of selling here for Duncan. What he's just said is actually crucial. Duncan, as you know, has done an absolutely amazing job with Cloudy. I mean, it's only been going, what, 4 weeks now, Dunk?
Something like that. It's only been going about maybe a month at the very most.
And one man does all of this work. I don't know who he is. I know no idea who that is, by the way, but I know that it's one man. It's Duncan,
it's
of course. It's Duncan. Kelly supports, and she comes up with ideas and helps. But the content that we have every week on this show, and also on Wednesdays, comes from one guy. And this man has to have a break like the rest of us. And of course, there are other amazing websites in our community, stadiasource.com. Let's not be afraid to mention the fact they are an absolutely stunning outfit. But there's I don't know how many guys they've got there now, 10, 11, 12. This is one guy. Duncan needs help, ladies and gentlemen. If you can give any support at all, if you fancy just reporting on what's on Twitter, maybe a little bit of investigative journalism, writing the odd article, just support Duncan, because he is a lovely, lovely guy. And Cloudy deserves to do as well as it has been and more, but he can't keep doing all this on his own. I keep telling him this. He keeps soldiering on. I'm glad he's just finally gone public and said, I could do with some help. But get in touch. Get in touch with me, or get in touch with Dunk, or leave a comment, whatever. Just if you've got any aspirations to help out, if you've got any interest at all in cloud gaming, give our man a shout, because it's an amazing opportunity, and he's a lovely fellow to work with, so why not? Duncan, thank you very much.
And just to mention that there's daily Stadia news as well. There's so many good ones out there. What
Of
is
course there
happening
are.
is
Yeah.
the more people that are actually out there doing stuff, the better things get, and you get more information, you get more discoveries, more everything. So it's really good that there's Stadia source. There's myself here, Cloudy. There's the daily news reviews website as well. We just need more people out there just trying to dig up all this, because there is so much out
mate,
there.
you're right, but you don't need to sell it for them. They could ask for people to help. This is your problem, not theirs. And there are some amazing people out there doing amazing stuff. The difference is that Duncan's is obviously got a full view on cloud gaming. It's not purely Stadia, and he needs help in those areas because it's a lot of news to cover. And once we hit September and xCloud fully gets folded into Game Pass Ultimate, it's going to explode. So if you don't even need to be that into Stadia. If you're interested in helping out with any of these networks, come and have a chat with your man. And I agree with Wolok. There are so many talented people in our community that I would love to see get involved with this, including yourself, Wolok. You're a great contributor on Twitter, and you've got some really, really good thoughts and analyses on things. I don't think anybody should be too shy. If you want to get involved in essentially a community cloud gaming newspaper online, have a chat, because it's great fun. I've written the odd article, and if I come across something, I might ping it, DM it to Duncan to have a look at it and so on. But it's it doesn't have to be a full-time occupation. It's fun to be involved, be on the site. You obviously get credited and so on and so forth. If you've got any interest at all into breaking into journalism, this is the kind of thing it's great to get involved with, to put it on your CV. Anyway, there you go. You've had a full-on 5-minute sales pitch from me. I'm going to move on. I'm going to move on to something else that we've got lined up here. Let me just get it all ready. And it's this.
What's up, Rokk?
Right. Well, I've got half a Duncan.
We've got half a Duncan.
Don't worry about having a half a Duncan. I'll sort him out. While we're doing that, Duncan.
The camera keeps on changing direction, and I have to keep on changing. What's up, Rokk?
Well, let me tell you. Let me just move your camera over a tad, so you might have to shift back a bit when I'm finished. So I'll tell you what's up. I'm a big fan of Stadia, as you know, but as a casual gamer, is it the best platform for me? That was well acted. I should get an Oscar for this.
Yes, you should. You're awesome, Mark. Yeah, Stadia is the best place for a casual gamer going forward for the foreseeable future, because you don't have to worry about anything at all, and you can play it on your TV. And with xCloud, you only can play that on your phone at the moment. So if you're looking to come back from work and put your feet up and have a nice relaxing day, Stadia is the place to be, because you don't have to worry about anything. With xCloud, you're going to get a lot of games, but you're going to be just tied to your phone for the time being, which is good and is bad. And you actually have to fork out a bit more money to get onto xCloud, because it's a monthly sort of subscription. With Stadia, it's like welcoming in your home. You don't have to worry about anything. The community is a lot more mature, generally speaking. And for me, if you give me a choice of all the cloud platforms and say which one should a casual person go to, it is 100% Stadia, because it's just easy. You don't have to think.
And that's coming from a chap who, I know you pretty much you are platform agnostic, aren't you? I mean, you have to be for Cloudy, but your basic approach is whatever system. If you can play the game, then it's worth having a look at. But in this case, you do think that Stadia is the best one for casual gamers and busy people.
Yeah, if you ask me which is my favorite platform to play on, it is 100% Stadia, because you don't have to worry. It's the problem with Stadia, which we don't want to really get into. It's just the there's some things I don't like about it, some of the games which are common and things like that. But from a purely cloud perspective, Stadia is head and shoulders above all the other ones in terms of just the quality and ease of use for just to jump in there.
Yeah.
If when Stadia gets the games and the user base explodes, which I'm expecting it will do, it is going to be one of the biggest gaming platforms on around the world here. It is just going to be absolutely amazing. But people need to get out from the silos and think that Stadia is going to be the only place they're going to game. They're not. It's going to be, you're going to dip and choose into different ones. The fanboy wars that Stadia is better than GeForce Now and GeForce Now is better than Shadow and all this is just going to go away, because as we mentioned on our last show, for £25 a month, you can subscribe to GeForce Now, Shadow, Xbox, and PlayStation Now, and that means you would get basically most games on the planet for £25 a month. It's we need to get out from the mindset that there's one better than the other. But if you're just talking from a purely casual and you just want to sit down and game and not think, at this moment in time, it is without question, it is Stadia.
Yeah, and I think the key thing is I'm not, excuse me, little Frenchman in my throat there. I'm not advocating that Stadia is better because Stadia is better. I mean, I'm specifically saying, as a person who has very little patience, very little time, has got demands on my time all over the place, lovey, is, Stadia for me. And this is what I've always found, in terms of speed. Pick up the controller, press the old Stadia button. Yes, the game I was playing is right there. I don't need to go and find it. And I go, press another button, I'm in the game. Whereas, as much as there are more games in other systems, and arguably some of those more games are amazing, and it would be fantastic if they were on Stadia, but they're not, I've still got a little bit of faff to get them to work. Now, that's going to change over time. I've got no illusion of that. And of course, once Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, or Game Pass Ultimate as I think it's going to be known, once that rolls out proper, I imagine that xCloud will also be available on more devices than mobile, and that's a wholly other different conversation to be had then. But right now, as far as I'm concerned, for a person like me, as I say, I run a business, I've got family, I wear ridiculous shirts, so that's because I don't have time to choose, mate. So Stadia works perfectly well for me because of that, and I still think that's who it will always appeal to the most and who they're designing it for. But if you're a hardcore gamer, or even just a more regular gamer than me, then there may be better platforms for you. And it's really, as you've rightly said, the key thing here is if you take all the subscriptions that are currently available and lump them all together, and you're able to, you can pay half the price of BT Sports per month and have access to hundreds and hundreds of games at no extra cost, which, amazing. Great. Okay. Well, thanks. I'm glad I made the right purchase decision. But Duncan's validated me, folks. I feel rightly validated. What have we got? Oh, look what we've got next, interestingly enough. Let's shuffle along to this one. Oh, yes. Now, Duncan, there he is. He pops back up. We actually did a Rokk review. This is a Rokk review for those that are listening on our excellent podcast, which sounds remarkably similar to the show that we do live on YouTube on Sunday mornings. I actually covered off Destiny 2 on episode, I think it was episode 6 or 7 of Stadia Rokks Live. Back in the day, slightly different review process back then. I would same process as now, in the sense that 5 different touch points. Folks, just to remind you, Rokk reviews different to other kinds of review. We don't look at the game and go, it's an amazing achievement in the genre, and the way they've got teraflops to flip is amazing and all that stuff. We look at them again from the perspective of casual gamers. Is it How quickly can you get into the game from your library? Is it, how easy is it to pick up from where you left off? Is it easy to play? Is it rewarding? Do I get a sense of achievement from playing this game, or is it a real drag? And of course, financially, is it good value? So those are the 5 things we look at, which have been, carefully chosen for people like me, the old casual, busy individual. So I covered it off back in, I don't know when it was, March, I think. Back then, I gave it 3 out of 5, because now we total each of those 5 together and give a score out of 25. Back then, it was kind of what was the average? It was 3 out of 5, which is, 3/4 of 20. So you're looking at about 15 out of 20, I guess. So it'd be interesting to see this week how we do it. So we're revisiting Destiny, although visually I'm going to run the same review in the background. So Duncan, how quickly can you get into this game from your library?
Clicking into it, normal, you just go straight into it. However, with Destiny, you've got a bit more faffing about. You have to choose where you want to go, and then when you get there, you have to run there or get there somehow. So, getting into the game, it's a free for me, and it's not like it's slow to get into the game. It's just there's a bit of messing about. What I would say about Destiny 2 on Stadia, compared to the other consoles, I still consider Stadia a console. So I say, compared to the other console type experiences, it actually loads up faster than them by an absolute mile.
Yes.
So actually loading the game is a lot faster, but actually getting into the game, it can take a bit of messing about. So I just want to put that in to clarify that a bit. But for me, my review would be a free for that.
Yeah. No, really, really good point. It does. If you've ever played Destiny on PlayStation or Xbox, it's an absolute grind to get the thing up and running, 2 minutes or more. Whereas on PC and Stadia, it's about equivalent in terms of fire up. I think it may be even slightly faster on Stadia. So Stadia wins in terms of compared to Destiny elsewhere, but purely in terms of as a game, there's a little bit of backloading as it loads in all the textures and all the stuff. And then you've got to choose your character. And then you go to a map called the Director, where you choose where you want to go in this wonderful universe. So, all of that takes a bit of time. Then you've got to think about what it is you want to do next. Do you want to play one of the set events, or do you want to do a quest that you've got sitting around there? So it can take a little bit of time. It ain't a 5-minute jump in, jump out game. That's basically it. But we love it. We're both massive fans of Destiny, so we've given it both 3 each. Which, interesting to see how I did back then. Can you pick it up from where you left off?
You can and you can't, if that makes any sort of sense. Some of it all depends what you're doing in game, because Destiny's got like lots of quests, but they've also got events and raids and strikes and all this sort of thing. So some things you can pick up where you left off, other things you can't. So it's a free for me. So you don't lose any of your gear or anything like that, but you actually, on some things, if you're doing like a story mission, if you don't complete a certain checkpoint or a certain point, you actually lose your progression. You'll have to do it again. If you're doing a strike and you quit out from the strike, you've lost that no matter where you are, and you have to do it again. But if you're just going around shooting things and just having a blast, just killing all the different aliens you can kill, it's you don't lose your progress there. So it's a free for me.
Standard with, as we've said it before, standard with any game that is open world or multiplayer, you obviously can't go back to the same place because it involves other people. Even if in this case you might be doing a solo affair, it'll get you back as close as near as damn it, but you're never going to be bang on. So you gave it a 3, I gave it a 3. I think that's fair. How easy is it to play?
This is, I think we may differ somewhat on this. I think if you're just going in to just shoot things and not think about anything, it's 5 out of 5, no problem. If you want to actually get into the story and actually work out where you're meant to do, it is a complete and utter confusing mess. They know this themselves. If you're a brand new player to Destiny 2, you don't know where to start. You've jumped into the first mission, which is absolutely grand, where it's just follow the corridor and away you go. But after you get after that, it's completely and utterly confusing on what you're actually meant to do. There's story missions, there's strikes, as we said, which are like dungeons where you team up with a couple of people to go and destroy like a boss at the end. There's raids where you need to get a load of people in, and the game is not easy to play in the sense of working out where you have what you have to do. Going around shooting things, yeah, that's easy enough, but actually exploring and getting really deep into the game, it is really quite confusing.
Yeah, no, I agree. It is, and sadly, they made it more confusing when they introduced New Light, which was when they went from a pure pay to play to a free to play at one level. They had to decide how they were going to handle it. Were they going to get you to go down a funnel and introduce all the various stages and levels of the game since day one? Or can you kind of just jump in and do what you want? They went for the latter, and it is such a rich game in terms of story and mechanics and aliens and stuff that for a lot of people it became hugely confusing. And I even a very good friend of mine who's a patron, I spent a couple of hours with him, weekend or two back. He wanted to know more about the game. He knew it was a good game, but he couldn't get, he'd just never been able to crack it. So I spent some time and went through the basics. At the end of it, it was like, wow, what an amazing game. The fact that the game doesn't do that is a real shame. So if you're a Destiny aficionado and you've played it before, brilliant, crack on, because, it's the game it always was. If you're new to Destiny, you're going to struggle because it just isn't written in, large letters what to do. There are tons of videos out there from some amazing people that kind of go through all that stuff. But if you're like us, if you're busy, you haven't got a huge amount of time, you've got to make a choice between a game that is going to take up all your days, like this one, or whether you're going to make the choice, going for a game that is one that you can just jump in and crack on with. This ain't that one. So yeah, I think we're both in a similar mind. I gave it a 3. You gave it a 2. I think I'm slightly jaundiced because I obviously have been playing this darn thing since the alpha in 2014. But you're right. From a purely casual gaming perspective, it's a difficult game to get your head into. Is it rewarding, Dunk?
Yes, it's very rewarding. So it is if you really get into the game and get really deep into it, you get all your different gear. You can run the raids, which are really fun to do. It's challenging. There's always something to do, and Destiny is constantly updating. There's a new event coming. There's a new expansion coming. Destiny isn't going away, so it's going to be a game which you keep coming back to. And with Stadia, you don't have to worry about the downloads. You can just jump straight back in then again, so you can forget about it for a couple of months, and you come back and you go, oh, this is all this new stuff, and you're instantly rewarded to just go out there and try and level yourself back up again, because there's a level system, so you have to, or it's called the light, so you're trying to get as high as possible, so you're stronger. So yeah, there's a hook there. It's rewarding, and there's always something to do.
Yeah, and I think it's fair to say it's been designed around being rewarding. One of the things with this kind of a game is dopamine hit. And I know for an absolute fact that when Bungie were developing the concept of Destiny, they actually brought in a scientist who was renowned for studying the way that gamblers in Las Vegas made decisions and what brought them back to tables and to slot machines and kept them going, and literally so that they could hard bake that research and those findings into a game. Now, they're not the only ones to have done this, as dodgy and underhanded as that seems. Any of the loot cases and all the stuff that you see in whatever games you play these days all work off the same basis. So it's that risk-reward thing. It's, you will keep playing if in a relatively easy and short space of time you can unlock something amazing. So it has all that baked in. So if that's a thing that you enjoy in a game, 100% it has all of that for you. And on that basis alone, I've given it a 4.
Which is the same I gave it as well.
Which you did as well. So then our final one, value for money. Again, this one, ladies and gentlemen, Duncan comes at it rightly from the perspective of the non-pro subscriber. So if you've not paid, or if you're not paying your £9 or your $10 a month to get Destiny 2 for free, that's Duncan's perspective. I come from the subscriber perspective. So I look at these things and think, am I paying for it or am I not paying for it? So Dunk, what are your thoughts on the old value on this one?
Okay, we had a discussion last week about what would constitute a 1 out from 5 for value for a non-pro, and we have got a 1 out from 5. And the reason being is because Destiny 2 is free to play on other platforms. That is the thinking on why I'm giving this 1 out from 5. It's not because it's not a good game. It is a good game. It is because you have to actually pay to play it on Stadia, while other ones you don't. And that is the reason why I'm giving it 1 out from 5. If you're a big Destiny fan, yes, you'll buy the expansion and then you'll be in. But if you're just looking at it as a purely casual sort of thing, I want to give this a try for the first time, no, it's a 1 because you actually have to pay to get into it.
Yeah, it's a really good point, actually, because I started by saying New Light was free to play, and it is, except on Stadia. So if you're not a pro subscriber, you are going to have to pay for the base game, like it or not. Whereas if you go to, I think it's even free on the consoles at the base level, isn't it?
It's free everywhere.
Yeah.
Which is a shame. Where they're getting the money is the cosmetics and the expansions.
Yes.
So the pricing on Stadia basically encourages you just to buy the expansion to get to have it, which you sort of
it also encourages you, of course, to take out the subscription, which is, to be fair, one of the reasons that I was interested in Stadia from the outset, being at that time, not now, not recently, massive. I've got 4,000 hours of Destiny under my belt, guys. I haven't played very much at all since I got Stadia. But so, one of the reasons I got it was that it was part of that package and you got everything for a year. And actually, from my perspective, from the pro subscriber, so not only did I get the base game, but I got all of the historical seasons and all of the seasons for the forthcoming year from last November, and it expires this coming November, for free. Best value ever for a Destiny fan. So I have to give it I've got to give it a 5. I've actually just looked. I gave it a 4, but I should have given it a 5. It's great value for me.
Yeah, basically because it's stuck in pro for the foreseeable future. I think it's a 5 as well. If I was doing it from a pro, I think it would be a 5. So it's definitely value for money for part of the pro, because you get all the recent expansions up to this new one, which is coming November. You've got so much game time there, but I've explained my choice for the 1 out from 5 on Stadia because we're just looking at it from Destiny 2 perspective, and because we don't actually get the full one.
I think I think you're absolutely right. So where did we end up? Well, I was just having a look, and for some reason I'd given it 887, which was never going to fly. So what we've sorry,
I'm just going to say the Warlock. Yeah, I totally get why it's locked behind pro.
It's not Warlock, mate. It's Wolock. There's no R. I don't like offending our chat.
Yes, I know. It's me. I can't say anybody's name.
This is true.
With that, I totally get why it's locked behind pro. That's why I totally get why the Borderlands 3 was locked behind pro. I totally get that business perspective, but they're charging like 25-30 quid for Destiny 2, the base sort of version, so it's really hard to justify that. Just in regards to this review, if you're into Destiny, you're going to buy the expansion, so it won't matter because you get the whole package then.
Yeah, no, I agree. So we gave it in Rock Review dollars. I did originally give it 17. I've just whacked my value up to 5 because I thought about that. And it should be a 5 if you've bought the Pro sub. So it's 18 out of 25 for me, 13 out of 25 for you. Which, interestingly, if we kind of totted them all up and did a mean average, is about the same that I gave it way back at the early days of Stadia Rokks. So worth getting if you're a Pro sub and you're looking for a game to invest time in. Not necessarily if you're a casual gamer and you don't have that time as much as you'd love to. If you're a free Stadia subscriber, there's cheaper ways to play this game at the moment. I think that's a great rock review, actually. Really good. Well done, Duncan. Thank you for that. Let's. I've got a burning question for you, actually. You ready for this? There he is. Yeah. Hey, Cloudy. So this is our this is Ask Cloudy, where we the great public of the internet get to ask Cloudy a question in real time at some point this week, and he comes back with the answer. The question this week was, "Hey, Cloudy, is there a way to get a refund on a game if I find it's not for me?" That's on Stadia, of course.
No, there isn't.
What?
I'm lying.
There is. I've done it millions of times.
Yes, I know. No, I have to say this is an absolutely amazing feature on Stadia where you can just refund your game. You can do it in a couple of places. I think the app's the easiest way. So if you want to follow along, you don't have to actually refund the game. If you just go into the Stadia app on your phone, and then if you click onto your wee avatar, mine is like a wee Jack in the Box.
A wee deck.
I thought we were a PG sort of thing here now.
Deck is spelled D-E-C-K, mate. It's perfectly legit English word. You find it in the dictionary.
Yes. And if you go to purchase, and if you go to purchases and subscriptions, and if you go down there, you can see your transaction history. So if you click into one of your transactions, if you bought a game,
yeah,
you can request a refund. And I just seen something here which is actually interesting when I'm doing this. Have you noticed anything who it's purchased by?
What?
If you go down to your transaction details.
Where in Stadia?
Yep, if you go in your transaction details, you get the product name, your game, purchase amount, purchase date, and purchase by.
So we know what that means, don't we?
Yes, we do know what that means. Let's see.
Family.
Is that new, or has that been there the whole time?
I don't remember seeing it, if I'm honest with you. Do you, out of interest, do you have a family account set up?
I do indeed.
See, I do as well, and I wonder whether that's an addition when you set that up. See, it may always have been there, or as long as... Just to put some context on that, folks, you can currently set up a family sharing account, and you can purchase games and subscriptions for anybody that you've designated as family. That isn't the same as family sharing, where they can play your games, which is coming soon, fingers crossed. But it's quite useful for if you've got family there and you all have Stadia accounts, and you can just have one person that manages that and pays for them and so on. There may well be, Dunk, that's on the basis that you and I have both set that up, and therefore it shows that because on my daughter's it would probably say purchased by Rokk, for example, which it does on mine because I did. Whereas you have an option for other people to buy your account, so it would be useful, for example, if you needed to cancel and the money's going to go back to that individual, or if you've got a subscription, you want to take it over yourself, then you can just make sure that that's happened. But yes, that's well spotted. That's how you do it. And there is a time frame that you've got to do this within, isn't there?
I'm pretty sure it's less than 2 hours. You have to have less than 2 hours game time, I think.
Within, I think it's 14 days.
14 days. Oh, and you can the 2 hours as well. So
so it gives you more than enough time, to be fair, to decide if it's a game for you.
And I was going to say, I've used it for a game which is actually on sale now, which I totally hated on Stadia, which is Wolfenstein Youngblood.
Yes, for me, it's a darn good game.
It's absolutely
Just out of interest, was it the game or was it the characters?
both.
Because a lot of people I know said they couldn't stand the dialogue and the kind
Yep,
of
the
yeah,
dialogue between the two
yeah.
seemed so forced, and it was really off-putting, and I just couldn't get. They got really.
See, it
put me
never
off the
bothered
game.
me. I enjoyed the game, and I tell you what's really good as well. I don't know, and I don't think this is the case on Stadia, but it is the case elsewhere. You can download it for free on PlayStation, for free, as long as you play with someone that owns the game. So you can play co-op with somebody that's purchased it, even if you haven't, which I thought was really cool. I'd love to see a feature like that come to Stadia. It is in a way. It's a little bit like crowd play, isn't it?
It is, especially how that's going on at the moment.
Yeah.
If you join in, they're basically giving you a free code at the moment for Mortal Kombat. So
Yep. And Warlock's right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the key thing about this. I know, I bought something recently on Steam, and it was a steaming pile of something. So I did elect for a refund. I'd only played it for 30 minutes, I think. And I got my money back, no question. But I've never, I should really see what happens after 2 weeks or 2 hours or within 2 hours and see if it's the same thing. I suspect it may not be. But certainly in terms of gaming, you can't get a refund on any of the consoles. You buy a game or download a game, you're stuffed. You can buy a game on Amazon. Amazon will refund you anything. I mean, no worries, no question. It's all automated. As long as it's within a reasonable time frame, you're good. But you've got to have a physical copy. But in terms of digital downloads and cloud, I think Stadia kind of rules the roost on this. I think it's one of the major reasons to have a Stadia account.
Yeah, it's just an amazing feature. I couldn't believe how quick and easy it was to actually do that when it was refunded, and the money came back in a couple of days, which was mad. It was just
On
wasn't
Stadia,
expected.
mine's been instant. I mean, I've gone refund and boom, it's back in my account. But I mean, they look at their Rock. Yeah, let him have his dosh.
Yeah.
He's good.
Yeah, you know what I'm like. I'm really loved at Stadia, so I think that might be the
Yeah,
reason
you've
why.
upset them so many times, mate. It's your own fault. Right, ladies and gentlemen, that's all we've got for you this week. This fine Sunday morning. Of course, you're not all watching it on a Sunday morning, and some of you are listening on podcast, which, as I mentioned earlier, is available on all good podcast platforms, from Spotify to Apple and all sorts of different places. So thank you for that. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching, as always. Hope we've entertained and informed. Don't forget rainway.com. Forget that Apple experience. You heard it first, folks. I am planning to do a dedicated video when I get back off my holes. So make it a bit more, because there is a little bit of faffing about. So, just to kind of show you a few buttons. Big shout out to my mummy, who's joined us today. Hello, mummy. She's come in under my dad's account, because, that's what folks do, isn't it? It's what your parents do. But mummy gave me a haircut yesterday. Look at this, for my holiday. Free trim. She is, by the way, a trained hairdresser, folks. I wasn't putting my hair in the hands of whatever. But I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you, chat, for popping in. As ever, you can normally catch both Duncan and I on a Wednesday with Rock Around the Clock. This Wednesday, of course, I'm not around. But we've got a special for you. We've got a premiere of a show called Stadia Past, Present and Beyond, which hopefully you'll enjoy. A little something to keep you going while I'm away. I can't promise Rockstars at Night on Friday either, because I do get back on Friday, but it's probably going to be quite late. But we will be back next Sunday. And hopefully there'll be lots to talk about. Duncan, as always, my good friend, thank you very much for all your time, effort and energy. Much appreciated.
Well, thank you. And the most important thing is to enjoy your holiday.
Thank you. I fully intend to. I'm going where there are very few human beings. I'm getting there by way of very few human beings. And I may even leave technology behind for a bit. But you know me, I'll be on Twitter. I can't avoid it, can I? Thank you for watching, folks. If you're interested, I do have a little Patreon. It's Team Rock over at Stadia Rokks UK. You're more than welcome to come and join us. We've got some amazing patrons. I throw up some free content from time to time. There's also an opportunity to get some merch with Rock on it, which I think is kind of tasty, but there you go. And failing all that, we'll see you in a week. Have a cracking weekend, folks. Rock out.